Hi, dear After Ellen viewers, and welcome to the new episode of Dana Does It with Glee. I'm so very sorry I wasn't able to do a vlog last week. I was in the midst of moving, and I am now in my new abode, but it just, there wasn't enough time, and I'm very sorry, so thanks for tuning in this week. On this week's episode of Glee, Lights Out, let's just say there were a lot of sausages in the jambalaya. I don't mean it like that, but there was a lot going on. Frankly, what in gay hell was this episode all about? It was really like 4 separate episodes, chopped up, splattered together. Some were really good. Some, we've got a blackout at school. We've got the arduous catfish storyline continuation. We've got Sue's new life outside of the Cheerios. We've got a very serious storyline now going on with Ryder and Kitty and what's happened to them. We also, of course, have our favorites, the New York crew, dealing with their feelings about dance and who they are and their art and where they're going and there was so much going on and it was all in one episode and I have, my neck hurts from the whiplash. Let's talk about plot points, shall we? Mr. Shu is the worst teacher ever. He's such a bad teacher at this point that it makes Finn look like a good teacher. And I can't even express to you how much I hated having to have those words come out of my mouth. I was glad to see Sarah Jessica Parker back, reprising her role as Isabel, Kurt's boss. And, you know, of course, besides Mike O'Malley as Kurt's dad, Isabel is the only, I don't know, responsible or decent adult that these kids have in their lives. I was really touched by the words of wisdom that Isabel gave to Santana at the end of their number. Because I really wish that when I was Santana's age, that someone would have said that to me. That someone would have said, it doesn't matter if you're famous or if you're on Broadway or you're a superstar, just do what you love and love what you do and let that be the only thing that's important. I think that would have spared me many, many years of frustration and pain if I just knew I could just be happy doing what I love. And I think that that's important for people in the arts, anyone who loves anything, to know that you don't have to be a superstar. Just be happy doing what you do. And yay, Sue Sylvester, not gone, just slightly down the street at the Crunch Fitness, teaching the gayest Zumba class that ever gayed. And my question is, do you have to be a member of the club, or can you just pay by the class? We get to see our darling Santana and Kurt and Rachel in the Pezzle Hummleberry loft discussing Santana's new jobs. One being bouncer at a lesbian beer garden, and the other as a cage dancer in a lesbian bar, which explains a lot as to why I did not get a second interview at either of those jobs. So it looks like Santana, you beat me to the punch. Okay, all kidding aside, this was a very serious episode of Glee regarding, in particular, Ryder and Kitty's molestation storylines. I think it's important that Glee tackles subjects like this because these are important things that happen to young people, and I just wish that it wasn't always handled in such a heavy-handed way. Also, Glee has a tendency to drop the ball and carrying through with important storylines, and I'm just concerned that this will just kind of be left by the wayside and not ever really approached again. And that's a shame because this obviously was very traumatic and upsetting and life-changing for both these characters. And I think that for young viewers who have experienced something similar, or even for older viewers who have experienced something similar, to have some sort of closure or to have some sort of development would be helpful. But I don't really have hopes for that. I also had a difficult time accepting that Sam and Artie would have been so blasé and so dismissive of Ryder's feelings. I think that the characters were meant to be a mouthpiece for the way that sometimes society perceives situations, in particular Ryder's situation. Um, but I just really don't think that that is something that either Sam or Artie would have said. So I found that a little bit unsettling. And Kitty's storyline, very much topical right now, in particular victim blaming. This has been in the news, this has been going on where victims of sexual assault have been bullied and picked on in social media, and that I think is particularly very topical. So I am glad that they approached that. That's what Glee does, they do topical. I've been asking, well, in my head, for more of Kitty's backstory, so I understood where she came from, and she kind of came out of nowhere, and this certainly did, you know, fill those gaps. We've got Sam performing "You've Lost That Loving Feeling" by the Righteous Brothers. This was a solid acoustic piece. Chord was right on top of things. Vocally, Ryder added some really nice, strong harmonies. Total pleasant song, the kind of thing you could sit around a campfire eating copious amounts of s'mores to. Next we have Everybody Hurts by REM and sung by Ryder. This was a pretty cool arrangement. I dug the strings, especially the pizzicato violin happening in the beginning of the song. That really lent a really nice, kind of background. And, Ryder's got a great, strong voice. It was emotional, but not too sappy. I think it fit the moment really well. We Will Rock You by Queen and performed by the New Directions. This number really didn't do anything for me. I found it really underwhelming, except for that sick quadruple pirouette that Jake pulled off in the middle of that. 4 for you, Jake Puckerman. 4 for you. Now we have our official Broadway tie-in with Sue Sylvester singing Little Girls from the musical Annie. I'm really impressed at how much Jane Lynch's voice has improved in the past few years. It was always pretty good, but it's gotten really good. And if you're in New York and you get a chance, go see her in Annie. I think I very well may myself. Maybe I'll see you there. This is no fault of Jane's, but I did think that perhaps it was slightly inappropriate to include this number in this episode based on the other subject matter. It came off as a little insensitive. But like I said, that's nothing to do with Jane and how well she did the number. At the Ballet, from the musical Chorus Line and performed by Santana, Kurt, Rachel, and Isabel. Shut up. Shut up with this number. There wasn't anything about this number I didn't like. The theatrical staging, that right there proves that a version of Glee that was just in New York could work. You could have moments like that, moments that are just so wonderfully theatrical and fantasy-like, but they work. Ah! I loved Naya's really subtle turns of the melody. She added some really nice little inflections and slight runs that didn't take away from the number, just added her own spin. I also loved that Kurt and Rachel took a back seat in this number, but provided some really, really beautiful ensemble work. If you are a girl or a gay guy who is at all interested in musical theater, you have sung this song at some point in time, and I think everyone has a particular affinity for it. Dear Glee, please make every number like at the ballet. Love, D. And finally, we have For the Longest Time by Billy Joel and performed by the New Directions. And holy shiz, this is a number that was actually choreographed to look like a number that you could perform at regionals. It still had the same sense of fun and frivolity and bouncing around that the recent closers have with Glee, but unlike those, which seemed a bit kind of chaotic and sloppy, this one was actually tight and cohesive and made sense, and I liked it a lot. Yay! Thank you! And that brings us to the end of this week's episode of Dana Does It with Glee. Can you believe we only have 2 more episodes of Glee left? I know, it's been, what, 3 years this season? It's been 3 years long. So, whew. But anyway, so please stick with me for the next couple episodes of Dana Does It with Glee. And in the meantime, have an amazing week. And I will leave you with this jingle, as it were, for the lesbian beer garden that Santana works at. Know what to do, come sip a microbrew at the lesbian beer garden. Put on your baseball cap, cause we got 30 on tap at the lesbian beer garden. Come meet a girl and take her for a twirl on our 100% recycled dance floor. And all through spring we've got 25-cent wings. Couldn't really ask for more at the park slope. Lesbian beer garden. Visa and MasterCard accepted.